Hey guys, we're gonna start the meeting here. We'll begin with a call to order and the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so just to be clear, if the power cycles back on, we may have to take a short break because the recording won't work for a couple minutes while the modem resets. So just to give you a heads up. All right. We're going to start with a review of the April 9th meeting minutes. That was our main meeting.
I'll make a motion to accept the April 9th minutes.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then we had our special meeting on the 18th. A little shorter. I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I have to abstain. I wasn't there. Same.
You got that done
Boys
that
Club
day.
meeting.
You got that done that
Don't be
day.
blaming me for long-winded meetings.
All right. So move on to the treasurer's report.
You all seen the report, nothing crazy. We did get some Jefferson County sales tax money in and mortgage tax. Not really anything else to mention on that. We do have a meeting on Thursday with Municipal Solutions for funding for that bond for the Parks Department.
Have we given ARPA the dog park money yet? Or is that still?
Yes, that's
So they
right.
have
That's,
it. Okay.
yep.
Just
Yep,
wanted to
it
make
was
sure.
being held and I got that switched over.
Okay,
Yep.
I'll make a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 What do we have left for ARPA now? We must be
Just did the report.
under 50?
Just did the report. I want to say it's like 50, 70 range, it's somewhere in
Okay.
that. I want to say it's 60 something, but I can double check on that.
We have to have that earmarked by the end of this calendar year. Is that
Yes.
So
correct?
we don't have to spend it until.
We don't have to spend it, it
Yeah.
just has to have.
Okay.
You said.
We talked about maybe doing
50 and
another round of
7.
Kelly's
Yeah, I think.
form, the community like submissions. We can ask.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
Second that motion.
Favor?
Aye.
Aye. I didn't actually sign it. I gotta walk through it, but whoever's got the bills now, I need to re-sign it.
And
Anna, did you have anything else before we move on to Jim's stuff?
No,
Okay,
no, you're gonna go to Jim and then come back to me.
okay. So the next two bullets, guys, are kind of joined. We've talked about this a couple times. Right now, Jim is getting a stipend and his, a medical premium paid. The town of Wilna, who he also worked for, is covering Marianne's half, and we are covering his in addition to his, small stipend for basically acting as a sort of deputy treasurer, but really consulting Shannon on the more complicated items, because she doesn't really need a traditional deputy treasurer for the day-to-day. Jim has brought up a couple times that the county and I believe also the state cover medical after 20 years. Jim was with us for 40. And he would like the board to consider amending our personnel policy so that when the time comes that he is unable to provide support, that he still has medical coverage. After 43 years working here.
Still working here too.
Yes.
Hey, real quick, I'm totally in favor of this. I think it's the right thing to do. But what I would like to do is kind of discuss some of the language, and I think we are going to go into executive session later. Maybe we can bring it up there. Also interested in the numbers, just out of curiosity, what this kind of runs us, okay? Is that fair? You guys okay with that? We talk about it? I think it,
What I wanted to bring up to go through an amendment in the personnel policy in lieu of every December at the annual meeting, you've been passing it. So in 5 or 10 years from now, whoever you five are sitting up there, they're gonna say, Jim, who?
Yeah.
And I don't have to be on edge every December, whereas if it is spec'd in the personnel policy, 40 years as a consecutive employee doesn't really open up a can of worms for anybody.
Shannon will be there in no time.
Huh? Yeah, Shannon's gonna follow.
Yeah.
For 40 years, yeah, can be.
All right.
No, that's all I wanted to add,
That's fair. No, it makes good sense too, Jim. Yep.
to put it in the personnel policy so that doesn't name anybody in particular, but it names a person who's employer or an officer
Yeah.
for that length of service,
Yep.
you know? Okay, that's all I wanted.
No, I
Anybody
appreciate
have
it.
any other questions for Jim on that? Then Jim, number 2, we have, you want to talk about the water capital project?
Yeah, the Form E, the $5 million capital project, a BCA put in there a line item for a bookkeeper or a person who cross checks any payments and vouchers, and there's a $7,000 line item in there that is part of the project and reimbursable. And so, going over the figures with Corey, not costing the village anything, but it would be part of the $5 million budget. I didn't know if the board was entertained having me as that point of contact or that person. Corey or Brandon can explain more why that dollar amount, that's the total dollar amount. Within that dollar amount, there would be a motion for a per hourly rate, that whatever the board might come up with, and that would be reimbursable to the whole project.
So who wouldn't, let's play this out real quick. So you have this need for this bookkeeper. I get it. I understand it. Who would normally do it for you guys?
Normally it's up to the village or town, where they have someone internally that does it or someone else. We don't hire anyone to do that for.
Okay, so I got that.
Is
Okay.
it typically the village's responsibility? So like, would it normally be Shannon? It can't be you.
Anybody on the payroll, because they're already an officer on the payroll, just like when I was on the payroll as treasurer, had to be part of my job, and the village just ate it.
So it's a matter of like, if we had the bandwidth internally, but he's only paid a pretty small stipend
So
to
it'd be
do.
kind of like he's one of the contractors for the job, but he's
Right.
doing the bookkeeping. Is
Yeah,
that a way to look at it? Okay.
Okay,
Oh, if the board was interested, I could.
yeah, and we don't need a quick answer on that, right? We have a little bit of time.
Is that the-
Yeah, so that's the.
Is that the family discount rate we're getting right there?
Family rate, yeah. What? Oh, yeah, Mary.
The hourly rate's highly dependent on his
Yeah.
health.
Yeah, exactly. We're about to go talk about health insurance for life. You sure you don't want to lower that cost a little bit?
Part of that,
Okay.
historical cost, that's her.
Is that the dollar amount for the whole project?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
not annual.
There's an hourly cost too, maybe as well.
So that plus hourly? Is
No,
that
he's
right?
saying he would break it out and say, there's a cap of 7, we'll set an hourly rate, he'll log that.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think next page is, Jim's favorite page on his resume here. Yeah,
The same.
your water.
Oh,
funds here,
yeah,
Just for your numbers.
that is the 5, that is the 3 million of the village portion that we don't have to borrow as our share of the intake seawall project. So if the village didn't have that in the savings, I just saved the village 1.4 million.
Yeah, and I'm not
Which
to,
is why we like having you around.
Well,
are we coming in at 3%?
I think you're trying to
We're gonna
sweeten
be
this
higher
up there,
than that,
Jim.
aren't we?
Yeah, you've got to adjust it over.
Oh, I know, but I'm just saying, this is a low
Trying
estimate.
to sweeten this up a little bit before we go into.
yeah, that's a low
Some of
end.
this money had to be used for the loan that we.
Well, it is, but if we didn't have this earmarked
We
over
would've had to
time,
get
we'd
a
have to,
bigger loan.
yes. We would have taken this entire portion out and, yeah.
Gotcha.
Cool.
So that's what that run of, money means, yeah.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah.
All right, next up, we have the salary sheet, which we've all seen. There's no change on this since we,
No, you're just ratifying them as they're effective June.
Make a motion to approve the salary sheet.
We,
You've done it 3 times now.
yes.
Oh.
I'll
The reason
second
you're
that.
doing it now is to actually pay those people starting June 1.
Yeah.
What you
The new
reflected in
salary.
the adopted budget
Okay.
theoretically.
I'll second that. Any other questions down here, guys, or anything look like you wanna?
No.
Cool.
All in favor?
All in favor?
I,
we need motions on the last 2 items.
We did it. We did
no,
not.
we did not.
We're not gonna make a decision on that right now.
Okay.
So Eric can put a couple extra in there.
We talked about the tax warrant?
We're doing that.
Oh,
Next up is the tax warrant. Yep. And you wanna,
Please do a motion to approve that is our tax warrant for the year.
so to be clear, there was no change on the rate. This is just, you have to approve the actual dollar value. Last time we approved the rate, she now has calculated the dollar value based on that rate, and this is the dollar value.
I'll make a motion to pass the tax warrant.
I second that motion.
All right, any other questions, guys? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Lynn is not here. Is Lynn on Zoom? I don't have it.
Lynn called in, the power's out, so he
Fair.
had to go down to the lift station,
Okay.
so he got.
All right, let's burn through this real quick. I did have an update in my thing about Arbor Day. Tree planting. They planted some trees, a tree over by where the dog park is going. And we had a little ceremony over there. Kelly Reinhardt has been like making it rain this year. She got a $55,000 grant.
Wow.
And then another $1,000 from National Grid. They reimburse up to 10 trees, $100 a tree if we plant things that they don't have to trim later. It's a species height formula they use. That is a reimbursable grant, so we will have to spend the money first and then get reimbursed, but it's all for tree trimming and maintenance, and she's been after it for a while, so it's a good one.
What is 55,000 gets us for trees?
A lot,
A lot.
like the majority of the urgent and next tier down. So, and they're gonna, it's all, some of the work can be done, like the match part can be done through Lynn and the guys doing the tree trimming that they can do, which is really the smaller, lower trees. But a lot of that will be hiring someone like Northern Tree to come and do proper arborist stuff with a bucket truck on the larger trees.
Okay.
Taking out a lot of dead and dangerous ash, and then doing some trimming on stuff that is savable.
I can talk on a few of these things. Patriot Pi Day was last Friday, went really well. Lynn said that they had a good group of kids working hard. He did do some summer help interviews. He's hired 2 so far. One from last year started work this week, so now he's got 3. The volunteer group cleanup of the cemetery. I don't know if you remember last year, but National Grid had a volunteer group that reached out to us to do some volunteer work to help clean up the military cemetery. They did the same again, so the military cemetery is cleaned and ready for Memorial Day. And I don't know if you noticed, but the things are up.
Yep.
Banners, thank you.
Banners
My brain is tired. The banners are up. So I think that's all you want to mention.
Have any questions for Lynn? Because he's not here. John is not here either. Is John on Zoom? Hey, John. You're up, sir.
How's it going?
We're testing the new audio and we can hear you. Surprise, surprise.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I attached my report. I submitted that last minute bill there for the ballistic vest for the newer hires. Did you want me to put up like ferry closed or only floating vehicle sign at the boat launch or?
Cars preferably, or no cars, just boats, maybe.
Right, yeah. Amphibious
car
vehicle. Yeah, was there any questions that you had regarding the report or?
Do you have everything you need for your vest?
I believe so, yep.
The only thing he didn't get was
But the order went in, we approved it, right?
Right, we approved the tasers. They just haven't invoiced me yet for it, but I mean,
Okay.
typically there's plenty of room in the contractual part of the budget and the training part that should cover all that each year.
Great. All right, any other questions for John, guys? Cool. Move on to fire, so I
Their
guess back to
budget's
Kelly.
in there. Yeah, their budget's in there and I can talk more when it's.
Okay, sounds good. Keep going, Dave, Kathy, do you want to speak on the heritage area as well, or do you want to just, we'll skip over that? Okay, no problem. I wasn't sure if he'd given you cliff notes. So we'll skip over the heritage area as well and move straight on to the visitor center.
So it just occurred to me, the one thing that I did not put in this report is that DPW had done one of our 2 bathroom floors already. They are gonna do the next one in the next couple weeks. So that is almost done, which is great. The only other thing I wanted to draw your attention to, the purchases, we did make a lot of them. I know we probably waited too long. But the artifact display case, that was the one that was over. And so I did submit quotes, which hopefully were in your packet because I submitted them on Friday.
Wait, you purchased it
I
already?
haven't purchased it, no.
Oh,
The bill is in your, the bill is the bills. It's the quote that we went with.
So,
is this in this year's budget or the new budget? I'm
In
confused.
this year's.
yeah, so the bill was in there. She had her quotes. It is the lowest bid. But we have to explicitly vote for it, not just in the bills, which I guess, yeah, we
Was
kind
there
of do
money
that
in
out
the
of order,
budget?
but
Yes.
Yeah.
I ask this every year because we're at that period right now, that window where,
Mhm.
what do you need to make sure this goes into this year's budget? You need a check? I mean, a bill, a PO, everything.
oh yeah, no, the bill's already there.
Okay.
It's just that even though we approve the bills, we technically have to approve this individual bill separately because it is over the 3,000. But the quotes are in there. Do you know what offhand what the other ones are? I saw them, but
Wildly different.
okay.
So the one that we went with was because we could get a total package that worked for us.
Yep.
The other ones would, one of them didn't do the same material for the glass, like it was actual tempered glass rather than just acrylic, so that
Yep.
made it quite a bit more expensive. I think it was 4,000 when I submitted, but the next one was like 6 and then 7.
Okay.
So it was wondering if it was
Proto?
or 8, but like,
Eight.
almost 9, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was after I sent them revised specs. Down.
No, I guess I don't remember when we revised the procurement, was it that we needed an explicit vote or we just needed 3 written quotes and the board to approve it? I don't think we necessarily decided we needed a separate line item vote, but to go into the bills and be approved needed it.
I
So
still think it should come to the board before it's purchased, though.
it wasn't purchased. Right.
It's not purchased, it's just in the bills.
It's in the, so that she can pay it. But they sent her an invoice and Shannon can pay it once we approve it.
Do we have,
And I did have it in my last month's report. I just wasn't able to be here in person for that meeting.
so it's not in.
I have not,
Okay,
nothing is started.
Okay.
They are just on hold until I can say, yes, it's been approved.
She did have wiggle room left over at the end of the.
Yes. Yeah, it should have still been a couple thousand even after this bill gets paid. Yep.
Okay. Should be good there. Is there anything else interesting in here? How's your new office mate? Is
Yeah, it's
Going
going
well
well.
down
We had a kind of crash course with the Eclipse weekend, but it went well. We had a lot of people. It's one of our biggest weekends, actually. And she's gotten up to speed quickly because obviously she knows the village pretty well, so.
Cool.
That's been helpful. And yeah, I put banners on my list as well, but so we've got all of the existing ones are the ones that Lynn and DPW staff have been putting up.
And the new ones will be ready in the next couple weeks.
Okay. And you guys, you worked with Lenny, have all your poll numbers ready?
Yes.
Great.
That's it. Unless
Cool.
you guys have any questions.
All right, I think we're good. Thanks, Kathy. I don't know if Janet is on. But they have quite a few in here now. One to note, is the third bullet there, marks, what do they call it now, accessory dwelling unit, the ADUs. They're pretty popular, topic right now, due to the housing pricing issue. A lot of districts are changing their zoning to add, rules for ADUs. We have not yet. So right now it's going to the zoning board of appeals for them to do an area variance. But it's basically, it's an apartment above a garage is typically what an ADU looks like, or you could replace your garage with another unit. A lot of big cities have changed their zoning to allow, instead of it being an exception, they allow it by right. There's push in the state to be flexible with zoning to make it easier to build more housing stock because the price of housing is going up because there's a lot of demand and not a lot of supply. So it's something that we may want to consider changing the zoning rules more holistically instead of just kicking these down to the ZBA. But the ZBA guys haven't had a lot of meetings lately, so.
Give a chance to get together.
Band back together. I don't have anything on these that we need to make note of, but if anybody does, we can, ping Janet after. Here. Next up, we have the engineering.
So we'll start with Market Square Park Ready projects, phase 1 and 2. No April payments or applications this month. So trying to finish up Market Square Park. Tentatively, paving will be at Market Square Park next week. So hopefully get that done, and that'll help wrap up the FEMA, get that final application in. Let's see here. Pickering Beach, they finished the Keystone pavers last week. Still a couple things to do with some grass, but mostly complete. Hamilton Street project, we're hoping we'll get started soon. It's been a little wet down there, so it's just kind of waiting for things to dry out. So Brown Shores Ready project. So we had a pre-construction meeting last week, and we issued the notice to proceed yesterday. So that'll be kicking off here soon. Let's see. The I&I study. So I talked with Lynn about, but
Yeah, I had three, just the INI, the OGS, and then the DOH thing that we're gonna discuss, like, with you, obviously, but those are just three things that I do want to talk about a little more in depth with these guys too.
okay.
So we can do the INI first, but I just,
Okay, yeah. So kind of the I&I, we sent a letter to Alex kind of as a notice to the village residents, kind of explaining the situation. You know, the water plant produces this much water, the sewer plant gets X number above that. The difference is the I&I that's coming into the system, whether it's sump pumps being pumped into the system or pipes. So we're currently doing a study. We wanted to kind of let everyone know in the village what we're doing. And I think there were some.
yeah, so our concern was if we just send out a long letter explaining, could you please take photos in your basement of the pipe? We're gonna get maybe 0 to 3 responses, and it's not gonna be super useful if we just mail out a long letter. Shannon and I talked about it. I had suggested maybe like, do we comp like, oh, you get $5 off your sewer bill if you send us and she thought a better way to do it was copying Kelly's Christmas decorating contest, where rather than pay each person, we say, hey, we'll put $150 up, get 3 local gift cards, and then people get a little more excited about it. Say, hey, look, this is what it's about. We're trying to solve this problem. If you send us a photo of the pipe coming, or I think it's the pipe coming in, right? The service line, or is it the sewer pipe going out that oh no, it's the sewer. Yeah, it's the sewer pipe, and you answer 3 questions, you'll be entered into a drawing. I think we might get a little bit more responses there. I'd like to not really lean on the fact that it's technically illegal to put your septic or sub pump into the thing, because I don't want people to think they're gonna get in trouble and not reply, because truthfully, we don't really have a great way of enforcing. They could just pull it out when we inspect it and put it back. But knowing where that's happening could inform where we need to put more storm lines. I connected at the bottle, we connected our sump to the actual storm line because it's there, which is an option you have if there's a storm line on your street, but a lot of these streets don't have that. So if we have data of where this water is coming from, and if you live in a house where, hey, I can pump it into my yard and then it's just an elaborate fountain trickling back through my basement again 2 days later, it makes sense that
there
they're
gonna
putting it in their sewer line.
Eventually, is there gonna be, because you said you don't want these people getting in trouble because they're not doing it correctly, but is the end game gonna be some sort of resolution to it?
We don't need.
Where we're helping them, because
Yeah.
maybe they are like, I don't know how to fix this, or I can't fix
Yes,
this.
so
and-
there's lots of options. We could technically, we can say, if you spend X dollars piping into the storm line, we could reimburse them or give them a credit. We could do lots of things that aren't just the punitive, hey, we're gonna run a smoke test and then fine everybody who has
Right,
smoke come out of their basement.
'Cause you're right, you're not gonna
And
get
get
fined.
run out of town. And scare a bunch of people who don't pay attention enough to know that their
Right.
house is not on fire. No matter how much we talk about that, we're gonna startle a lot of people.
Right.
It doesn't need to be enforced unless it creates a problem. Right now, the plant's okay, but it gets easier to run the plant the less diluted our water is going in, because there's, what is it called, like a factor reduction percentage we have to.
Yeah, you have to have a 85% removal. And when it gets really diluted, it's hard to get that 85% removal because it's already coming in pretty.
Clean. Yeah,
What's the flow difference?
this month is
Is it significant?
egregious. It's 9 million gallons tendered. And that's including sending stuff to Hounsfield and to like where I live, where we don't have sewer.
Yep.
So it should be way higher, and then 15 million back in. So,
I mean,
We're in a wet.
or that was maybe last month.
We looked last year and I think the difference was.
Yeah,
Okay.
so there are months where it's
Coming
deep,
in.
right? But whenever there's rain, like on the 18th and 19th, that flooding,
Right.
that's where a lot of the sump pumps.
I almost think a door-to-door survey would work best, especially if we don't intend any punitive action, because relying on all the residents to accurately
Yeah.
capture what's going on and send us a picture, I don't think you're.
I just know if someone were to ask my mother how to, she wouldn't have a clue how to.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will just
like,
ignore
that would
it,
be hard.
but
Yeah, or she would
even if we
ignore
get
it,
30,
or
40
she would
people.
panic, and I don't want people feeling like we're coming at them because something's wrong. But there is a problem that we need a solution to.
I mean,
However, we need to find where the
You know,
problem
what we-
is. So like, how do you do that? And
Maybe look at like the workforce, they do those summer interns that are paid. We could hire somebody, put them in a Sackets polo and send them around with a clipboard.
Yeah.
It's not a high cost. I mean, there's a little bit of.
No, but I
admin
think
cost
you
to
have
do
to
that.
have eyeballs on it, or you're
Okay.
not gonna get
It's visually low.
an accurate picture of
Okay,
it. And again, it's, we're not looking for, issues where we're gonna take action against anybody.
Yeah.
We just need to understand.
I mean, I'd be comfortable even telling people like, we're gonna write down which block this is, but not your address if you're worried, because it's for a systematic study, and that might be sufficient.
Yeah.
And we can explicitly say like, hey, we've committed, we're not even writing down which house this is, it's just, these are the 6 houses on this block. Okay. All right, I guess back to the drawing board a little bit there, but
I like the idea of doing I mean, people don't do anything for free. We could start that way and see what
I mean,
kind
it's not
of a
expensive.
response we get. If we get a good enough response with that, then we wouldn't need to do the door to door, which is a lot more manpower, a lot more hours.
It is, I just know, like you said, your mother,
And they would definitely have to be weekends because people are gone,
yeah.
and it's summer too, though.
I think a lot of people are not gonna understand what's being asked of them.
That's
they're
my
just-
thinking.
They're gonna respond.
Other things you
But-
can do for, like, usually your response rate, I mean, you're 10% or less when you send stuff out, you get back. But a lot of times you said, okay, if you have questions, call so-and-so, we'll come and help you out, figure it out, if you have some pump and where it's connected and.
Yeah.
Do you think we could do like a PR mailing ahead of time to just say, this is what we're this is the study we're doing, this is the information we're looking for?
Yeah,
Just to kind of let people,
Every day-
multiple ways to let them know.
an
that
every
we're
door
looking for-
mailer.
I know, we go
is
through this
like
every time a mailer, people don't read them, I get
And
it.
then like, yeah,
Is this dumb guy question? We identify, I don't know, 10% of the village that actually has this issue. Is this a needle mover? Does this really move the needle for us what we want to do? You know, we're trying to reduce the difference between the intake versus outtake, right?
this is,
It's more
the
wear and
goal
tear
is
on
to
this
use
too.
the results of this study to apply for grants.
That'll help.
And this will help, yeah,
I study, they want to identify the problem and they want to have a capital if there's an issue, have a capital project that is identified that you can put grants to try to say, okay, we don't have stormwater in these streets, so people have wet basements and need a place to put.
That's what we're looking for, is a stormwater.
But that data you submit as part of the grant application has got to be accurate. Or
yeah, the more you can justify it, say,
Right.
hey, look, we did this survey, the better it looks. If you just say like, finger to the wind, we know that street's pretty damp.
Yeah.
It's not.
We
gonna
just say,
carry-
hey, we got a problem, we need,
Yeah.
$5 million grant. I mean, that's not gonna work.
Right.
You know, as well, I mean, we have the other portions of the sewer we're trying to get funding for, but there could be some other spots too that maybe we're not aware of.
Right.
Like, I remember 6, 7 years ago, someone had conveniently, there was a clean out that they had made into a catch basin. You know, it was
Yeah.
good for the front yard, but
Sure.
there's a lot of water getting into the system that shouldn't.
Do you have a timeline in which this data needs to be gathered?
We would like to, so funding season for next year, we'd like to have the report completed end of this year, submit it to the funding agency. Sometimes they take 2 to 3 months to approve so that we could apply for something next year.
Okay.
You know, like I said, WIA's opened up early this year in February, but usually you're in that May timeframe of 2025 where funding would open back up to apply.
Okay, well, let me call the workplace, is it workplace or workspace? Well, I know those guys and then see if they have any interns that would be a good fit available.
They
So-
normally do a summer intern program, but
Yeah.
those are for teenagers. I don't know if that's
Yeah,
what you're looking
I
for.
think if we find somebody,
Okay.
you know, and they may prefer if you're going door to door that they be 2 people together, so but they pay for it, so it's not
They
a,
do, yeah.
you know, there's a little bit of an admin cost of, we're gonna have to have somebody oversee them to some extent, but that might be the most cost effective way.
That's the county right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the trouble there is generally they have trouble getting place to place transportation, but if it's gotta be weekends, we might be able to, you know, get somebody to pick them up or bring them in for the day. and have
Community
them do-
project.
Shoot, you know, an 8-hour Saturday,
National Honor
5
Society.
times, and
It would be, but-
they don't have to go to every door, not everyone's gonna answer, so.
Yeah.
Cause there's streets where we don't really have an issue. Right, I guess we still want the data if, yeah, okay. All right. Anything else on the I stuff, guys, or we got a couple more things to go through too with these? Okay. We'll try and have a better plan for you in a couple weeks here. We're gonna talk again in June, like what, June 9th? I might be able to get some info from the intern thing by then. Yeah, it's the 11th.
Yeah, just for the Ready project, Market Square Park, like Shannon said, Municipal Solutions have reached out, was looking for some information specific to the project, I think for help with the bond anticipation notice. That would have, yeah.
Yeah.
Supposed to pause. Power just came back on.
I don't think,
No,
no, that
I
was the
don't-
air conditioner.
I was just a little draw.
That's just the drop.
Okay,
But yes.
and then we have, let's see. The other 2 I had that I wanted to talk about was the OGS easement. They're asking for a pretty significant fee, $24,000 for an easement for up the new pipe and the old pipe we have had there with no easement for like 100+ years. Yeah, so I was planning to just try and ask them not to and send an email saying like, could we not do this? We're over budget here, you know, what the heck? give us a break. I don't know if anybody here has contacts at OGS and would rather they are the sender of the letter. They think it'd be more effective than me. But, that's the current plan, is just to at least give it a shot. And then we could always walk it up, call Scott Gray and see if he can make them take pity on us. But, we're borrowing money here to pay the state a permitting fee for a pipe that's going next to a pipe we've had for 100 years. It seems a little much, but,
I think so.
but that's the plan
They
there.
want an easement, state of New York property underneath the lake, they want an easement for the intake, and that's.
What?
Listen, I was joking with Corey. I said, adverse possession says we gotta have it for 10 years. So we're 10X. We can lay claim to the pipe and the lake around it. It's not state property anymore. We've had it for 10 years, but I don't think that'll go very well, but I think it's worth asking. If they have the ability to say, yeah, we'll grant you a fee waiver, why not? So it could only help.
We're just
if we
tacking on to
keep it.
the funds they're gonna give us. Right, already, the 1 point, what is it? Those funds they're gonna give us? Just tacking on to those, yeah.
Yeah.
It gets weird, it's like, we're, you pay welfare and then you income tax the welfare. It's like, could we just give them a little less and not do the extra step? Same thing here. I feel like they're giving us money and then charging us back the money, but.
Right.
But we'll see on that. And then the third one,
So, real quick,
go ahead.
so, we actually, village attorney Jim Burrows reviewed the bonds and insurances.
Okay.
Just replied today, this afternoon, said he's okay with the bonds and, said insurance as long as they're the rates we have, and the specifications. are good.
This is for the water intake?
Yes.
Okay.
water intake. So I do have with me, the contracts, the bonds and insurances, if the village board wants to move forward and sign these.
Yeah, and we've already issued the notice to award, so this isn't really much of a discretionary moment. We kind of have to move forward with this. So the last step was asking Jim to review all this stuff.
Signature caps
there and whatnot.
Okay. I don't know if we need to vote on it. I'm happy to do one.
It doesn't sound
But,
like we do. If
yeah.
it's part of doing business,
But
it's
yeah,
something
it's-
we've already approved. I think we're good.
Cool.
So next after that, then we just issued the notice to proceed.
Yep.
And then look to set up a pre-construction meeting with the contractor Marcellus the next couple of weeks.
Great.
They'd indicated they want to start July 1. And the first thing they would do is the directional drill out to the lake.
State allows us to do it.
Is there a window, within which, because of like spawning?
They can't come out into the lake until the 15th.
Yeah, July 15th is.
July.
Yeah, so they can start drilling out, but they can't
Okay.
finish.
Okay.
So, yeah, they're gonna drill out the 1,000 feet and then not punch through until after the 15th of that. I think they had estimated they have 29 working days for doing the drill.
And then that window closes again.
Well, no, that's how long it'll take. They don't want to be in the later summer because of higher winds and wave action where they're gonna be doing the pipe laying. So they want to try and get as close to the end as they can on that July 15th date. So they're not dealing with like September storms. It's not a fishery
It's not a,
issue.
okay.
Okay, and then also on this, the Department of Health decided, the original plan was to keep the old intake in place as a backup. Also, when we're doing our, I forget what it's called, backflow, pigging, yeah, and cleaning out the line, we could, if there's a problem, we could use the other one. They don't like it. They want us to completely disconnect it. Main reason being the membranes that we have in our filters are not meant to have metal filings, could ruin them, and they're very expensive. Is that,
Yes, any iron filings from it,
we haven't had an issue with it.
it sucks in, you can slice the really small membranes. Tried saying, well, it's been doing okay for the past 12 years, I haven't sliced any and, we had some correspondence back and forth. We then said, okay, we'll do an interim, like, take a look at it 3-4 years. If the new intake's going well, then we'll look at disconnecting it, and the reply back was, no, there's no need.
Are we able to disconnect it, leave it there, and if we had to reconnect it in case of emergency, we could do that?
Yeah, it takes some time and because they want it cut and cap. This-
Yeah,
Oh,
they
they
don't want to valve or anything. And the thing is, like, if it's left open, we can still pig it every year. and make
Right.
sure it's- Whereas if it's abandoned after about 5-6 years, it's probably not gonna be, I don't know
We
exactly.
fill
how
it
long.
Want to start pulling on it.
So this is another case where I'm gonna try and push back a little bit, and just say, hey, look, you know, there's all this pressure to have resilient infrastructure. Why are we going to kneecap this backup? You know, if we need to
Right.
have a plan to push a liner through it or something else to protect it from iron filings, whatever, but right now, there's been no issue. It's a nice backup because these are not simple projects. If something goes wrong with the new pipe,
Right.
you know, who knows? So, you know, it could collapse.
I mean, there's in the past times, there's been some ice blockage too, you know, they had to blow water back out and then wait 3-4 hours, then pull on it again. But yeah, it's just nice to have another thing there. It's,
So same thing here. I was gonna just draft a sort of polite but firm letter and try to convince them that, hey, this doesn't seem to make sense. It's not really passing the sniff test, but again, if anyone has strong ties to the Department of Health and thinks that they would rather send it, I can, draft it, or at least run it by you if you know how they work. I don't, but I'm happy to just put something together and try and see if they'll budge,
What are
but,
you guys dealing with?
Talk after this.
Good luck.
okay. Great.
Curly?
yeah. Did you have anything else, Alex?
No, those are the three things I wanted to touch on for
The
this.
other thing, the water and sewer upgrades on the streets, so that we, is due June 14th, so we're moving forward on that. On the water side, we did some hydrant flow testing last week. We're trying to increase the point score of the water project. The project score is 15 points right now. If you flow a hydrant and the water main pressure drops below 20 PSI, you can get an additional 25 points. So we did some flow tests last week and it got to 24 PSI. And then, I had just asked, it was Lynn and a couple of people in our office, I said, you switch where you tested the pressure, and they said they didn't. So Monday of this week, we did that and actually came down to 14 PSI. So, it looks like we should be able to get an additional 25 points to help, us with getting grants. The only thing I do need, we emailed Claude Curley, in this district, he likes to come out and verify the flow tests with his own eyes. We took pictures and everything else, but
Good point.
he wants to come out and take a look.
Sure.
So we're just trying to coordinate that with him prior to June 14th.
Okay. Maybe I'll wait to send my email to
Yes, I would wait till.
you. Let me know.
Yeah.
I'll write it up and run it by you guys.
And lastly, the lead service line inventory. Sakis was selected. OGS is paying a consultant to help with that lead service line inventory. And I reached out to him. I was involved with a meeting on them before, but being we have a long history with the village, you know, being one of our largest customers for 50 years, we have a lot of record documents that can be submitted. And what I proposed to Arcadis, I'm like, yeah, I mean, some of our documents are easy, some I've got to go through hard copies, and there's some
Right.
time and expense for that. I asked if they would pay for our time to grab all those documents. So I'm working through them on that. Initially, they didn't think they'd go for it, and I asked another question back today.
Okay.
Hoping, it's like, the whole purpose was to help and pay for that from the state, so why wouldn't it?
Sure.
Push that when I can. That's all I had.
Any questions for BCA, guys?
Always, but no.
Right, before we jump over to clerk, Dave's here. Did you have anything you wanted to go over from your?
I just want a couple of things, it's probably for your brand event, the consolidated funding application is out, so. Grant projects, and I'll talk to them too about everything, yeah, they're forward working on potentially putting in an application for that, which hasn't been announced yet. The application is typically been due in September, but we need to start working on it.
Sure.
That's the Main Street revitalization. kind of transportation grant. I'll work with Shannon on that, EB.
Perfect.
Okay, and working on the dock signage. So basically, that's it.
Okay, great. Oh, I did want to ask with with the signage, do we want to just put a, small, or not even necessarily small, but a sign at the top of Main Street and by the docks that says trailers, Washington?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Is that one of the
That's part
signs you're
of the
working on?
document. Yes.
Directional signage.
Okay.
And yeah.
I mean, we're not gonna get a ton of, I think people will miss it for sure, but even if it moves a third of the boat traffic, it'd be
Yeah.
nice.
There's directional signage.
I think over time, if we just catch people and let them know.
So I was trying to navigate.
We can't keep the damn cars out of the lake and we're trying to keep them off Main Street.
Yeah, the sign is gonna go direct them into.
We might need a sign at the end that says no cars, boats only. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. Thanks, Dave. Erica, did you guys have anything further?
We mail out the annual report it was before, Friday, so.
Oh, does that go to every?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
I can keep drinking
I'll
water.
check my mail in a couple of days.
How often does it go out?
Once a year.
Once a year.
Yeah, we gotta, I think there was no issue, right? Yeah.
Whew. Survived another year drinking Saigas water.
Oh, I drank, so thank God.
All right, and then we have community orgs, so, do you have anything from your groups?
We've got the application for the Historical Society, the concerts who are ready to go. The application.
Yeah, it's in there. Cool. And I don't think we have anybody from the chamber, all right. Do you have anything from the town that you wanted to bring up or? Okay. Cool. All right, so move on to board reports. The 3 of the 4 items I had were the BCA things, and then for solar, I met with AJV from Fourth Coast. We went and surveyed all the potential sites, which was this building, the DPW barn and water treatment facility, the housing authority, and we could put one on the intake. It's relatively efficient because the most money you make is if you use all the power on site, because then you get full credit. And the amount of roof line there is such that we'd never have a surplus. So even though it's a small roof, it'd be an okay project. Unfortunately, the next step is a permit application with Grid for them to review the area grid conditions to see if they can support and want generation here. And they can just say no, and then if they do that, we have to pay for the line upgrades, which means the project's never gonna make money, we'll never do it. So to move forward, we will have to spend a few $1,000s per site if we want to move. But the financial review of each one, if gone through, is cash flow positive based on the state implemented direct pay. So for a business, you used to get a tax credit. We don't pay taxes, so it's no good. There's this whole financial product where nonprofits could sell the solar panels to an investor and they get the tax credits. Got very complicated. The state implemented direct pay where they'll just give us the money equivalent of the tax credits if we're a nonprofit. That takes care of essentially the down payment portion of the project. And then we could finance the rest. The interest is lower than the savings on our power bill. So from day one, we're making a little bit of money. It looks like the Harbor, the Housing Authority is a good site. So we could potentially roll that in and cover a fair portion of their roof replacement and have the village own the solar over there. But nothing's guaranteed. I was thinking potentially using the ARPA money for the next step since it's kind of a one-off. But it's $1,000 to $1,500 application for Fourth Coast to put it together, and then Grid charges, I think, another $1,500
Per site or total?
they've done per site in the past. We might be able to get them to do a consolidated application, but AJ was not sure if Grid would allow that. But
Right.
the process is they have to put together an engineering document, And then they can submit it all together and see. And then if Grid says, no, you have to do it 4, then we'd have to submit them separated. So we would have a chance of getting that discount, but essentially it's a few $1,000s in order to like suss out the project's feasibility going forward. We've done all the steps we can do without spending money. So we don't need an answer right now, but that's where that is. I can get you guys more info if we want to shop the project around. From what I understand, it's a pretty fixed fee situation. And there aren't a lot of installers that are local. But that's where that is.
Yep.
We can discuss more offline if you guys have questions, but that and the BCA test are my main things. I just came from the ANCA conference this morning. The Clean Energy Conference. There's some grant money we could use for some of this stuff, but a lot of the focus there was on incentives for private businesses to do solar more than the village. There are some nonprofit grants we could apply for, but they wouldn't be for this feasibility study. They'd be for later on. So if we don't get any grants or any additional incentives, the project still makes a savings for the village's power bill net. And then there's a bunch of other opportunities to make it make even more financial sense. But it doesn't make sense to pay someone to do those grants if National Grid's going to tell us Grid here can't support it. Pound sand. So that's kind of where we are.
It doesn't sound like a big ticket item.
No, it's not huge. And if we go forward, it's engineering drawings we would need to do anyway.
Yeah.
But the fee for Grid to look at them is not. Whether they say yes or no. So any other questions for me on any of that? All right, that's all I have. We'll move on to Mr. Mildred.
Let's get the LDC out of the way. Nothing to report new this month for LDC. Nothing yet. I think we should probably start pinging these guys about that northern parcel. What we want to do.
When everyone's gotta be back now, so we can get a meeting
Yeah.
out of us.
Yeah, I'll make a note to try to push that. From the rec committee, the only thing significant, baseball started up, got a good participation, lots of teams this year. So TIBC did welcome us back with open arms. So we've got lots of participation in both the softball and the Little League / T-ball. Speaking of T-ball, I didn't get a number back from Paul just yet. There is a rec committee meeting tonight. So Sarah Countryman, she runs the AYSO soccer program. And I think we're out of compliance right now. So that's a soccer program here in Sackets. And the thing is, they need a portable AED on site for us to even run this thing. So she's out there at the rec committee now. She's going to propose a cost. She went out there and got her 3 bids. He's going to come back to me and tell me how much that looks like. I think maybe we could earmark ARPA funds or something like that, if necessary. But what I'm asking the board tonight is to do a conditional approval. So when we get those numbers back, I'll shoot those to you guys. You take a look at them. And if they're not too high, I think it's gonna be under $5,000. We go ahead and approve that. So these guys have the necessary equipment to support their soccer program.
Kelly, you said that.
Ron and I talked about it, and I think it should be, I definitely, Sarah talked to me at the fire department meeting, so that's kind of where the conversation started. I think the rec program should own a portable AED anyways. We have a lot of kids, a lot of parents, a lot of people in fields. It would be very helpful. The AYSO, it's a requirement for them to be an AYSO program to have it on site, so they have to do it. They are not affiliated with our rec program, but we cover them for their insurance, so they're part of the community, and it's just something that we help them with. I still think that the AED should be owned by the rec committee. So we would own it, not AYSO, so I just wanted to clarify
No,
that.
that's a good point.
We would own it. They would sign it out for their season, and at the end of the season, give it back to the rec program, because maybe the basketball program needs to have it. Maybe,
Softball,
maybe we
T-ball.
look at, we have a lot
Yeah,
of teams out there. Maybe we
Even
could
for
need
like
more
our
than one.
events
I
and
don't know.
stuff, it might not be bad to
Yeah.
have another one.
Right.
And this one's portable, so Sarah would take on the liability and whatnot to have it in her possession, she would sign it out and then return it at the end of the season. So I'm in support of it. I think the program is really good for the kids. And if it's a requirement for them to have it, then I think
Is it just one unit, Kelly, or is it per field or?
it's one unit on site. So last year they had a first aid tent. They were gonna keep it in the first aid tent so that if something happens, that That's, as far as I know, that's what the regulation is. It has to be on the premises somewhere. So.
Yeah, they're not using that. We can definitely use it at the bocce courts because, you know.
It's intense.
You
You never know.
So,
All right, so we would need, you wanna vote on that now then?
just a conditional approval.
I was hoping to have a dollar amount that we could vote on it tonight. I think using ARPA money for it would be sufficient.
It's got a number.
Oh,
He says we're looking at about, $1,200 a unit.
Okay,
So,
1,200 a unit. So
Yeah.
do we want to author, so that was my other question. If it's reasonable, I almost wanted to purchase more than one unit because we have baseball teams, we have softball, I don't know.
we can always buy another.
Or do we want to just start with one for now?
let's start with one, because I know
Okay.
we have to repurchase these things every 3 to 5 years or something anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we don't necessarily need to give it to them for the season. If we're finding that there's a lot of other uses and we need it for events or we want to have it out at the concerts at the waterfront.
Yeah.
If there's not a game, we might say, hey, bring it back to the visitor center and sign it out from there. Or whichever office or visitor center's open, those guys are open on the weekends, we're open during the week.
I don't want to make it complicated, but
Yeah, I mean, just
whatever
if-
works, yeah.
But
Yeah.
if we own it, then we can kind of decide. Okay,
So I make a motion to approve using ARPA funds to purchase one AED portable unit for $1,200 for the rec committee.
you want to call it under 1,500? Just in case there's. a little
Yeah.
more? Okay,
Yes.
I will second that. All in favor?
I.
Aye.
Thank you, guys.
All right, anything else, Ron?
That was it. Appreciate it.
Any questions for Ron, guys? All right, Kelly, you are up.
My report is included, the fire department reports, 6 fire, 3 MVAs, 16 EMS, that one other was the first fire in the water situation. The second one was for this one. I did want to make a note, Greer Countryman, I was at the fire department meeting. I included in my report because it was super cute. He's a 7th grader at school. And this is the 9th year he has donated his birthday money to the fire department. And he was there the other night to give them his $200 that he gives them I just think it's adorable. I love it. I think it's great. I took his
Get him a ride on
picture.
the boat, like.
They give him t-shirts, like he's an honorary member, I feel like, because he's just adorable. And so I just wanted to make the board aware that it's happening. I am putting his picture in our little trustee report because I think it's so cute. The fire department, the firemen love him, it's a big deal. We already talked about Lynn. I do have the dock plan. Let me clarify why the dock plan is back in. We approved parts of this dock plan already. And when I tried to push out before, I didn't get a response. Well, let's put it this way. I tried to push out a newsletter with some information in there, and immediately there was some misunderstandings because people showed up at the village office that Monday morning at 9:30 looking for their free boat dock, that they were gonna pull their docking away from Navy Point Marina, and they thought that they could put their boat at Market Square Park for the summer. So I quickly pulled that and said, no, that is not what that was supposed to say. So I'm trying to fix the language to clarify some things. So couple things, that what you have is in red. We're trying to figure out if we want to start charging in June or July. Lynn and I said maybe meet in the middle and say the middle of June. He needs to get some new staff in place. We needed to get the equipment in. We need to train them. So maybe if we shoot for like the middle of June, to start actually rolling out charging people. The day use rates, we already approved all of that. It's first come, first serve. Erica had a question about the amp usage. There is no change between 30 amp or 50 amp, and it's one plug. So I'm just gonna take out that second one and change it and say $10 for electric use. And just say electric use. Do you think that will be ambiguous? Will they understand it? Do I have to say amp? I want to make it as clear as possible so we don't get any more confusing conversations.
I don't get the impression that that's gonna be a high uptake thing, so I think just making it one rate's fine.
Okay,
Right.
and just say flat rate of $10 for electric usage. Just say electric, or do I say amp?
Nope, includes electrical and water.
No water, just.
They don't have
just
a water
electric.
hookup. It's, we do have a sewer pump out, but actually the DEC has a minimum, is it a minimum or a max? What is, you remind me? Maximum charge, because they don't want people to just dump in the lake.
Well, and that was
That's
my
a
next
separate-
question. We didn't address it as part of our plan and I'm hesitant to even include it. So I would like to
No,
just say
I-
we're not doing it this year, but
We
I'm
have,
open to
we have the
conversation.
hookup and I think if we find ourselves, it cannot be self-serve.
No, it must
So
be an
if
employee.
we
that's
end up
doing it.
having, I think for now, we say it's something that like, if yours is down and we want to say, hey, ours is available, we'll spin it up. But for now, I think you're right, leaving it.
I just say leave it and say we don't have one. We don't have the capability.
We can disable it so you can't, oh, sure. Yeah. that's fair.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
we'll talk to Lynn and see if he can do that.
Just
I think if we're not gonna
electrical, yeah.
support it,
Yeah.
there's no reason
I mean,
to make it more
unless
complicated.
we're bored, I mean, unless somebody disagrees, I
No.
just can see it.
I mean, we
being
can
an
always
issue.
change
We
if
would
we-
need
if-
an employee on. It can't, like you said, it can't be
Yeah.
self-serve.
They can always pop over across the way and get.
The other thing that I need help with from the board, two things. Part of the confusion with the village residents was I pushed out because we had talked about, because village tax-paying residents are paying taxes, an ability for a tax-paying resident to have a pass of some sort that they could utilize the day usage. Well, when I put that out there and said day usage, we had some people with some confusion. So we're trying to clarify language. We're trying to make it easy on the office staff. I don't know, do we have 200 voters that are in the village that would use it? Do I have 20? I don't know. So I sat in the office with the girls and we came up with this as one potential option. We could decide not to do it at all if that's gonna make it easier, and I'm fine with that too. So I was trying to come up with something for a village resident to not get double dipped because they already pay taxes and then to turn around and pay to use the day usage. So this is one option we came up with. That that we would issue only 20 day passes per year. The first 20 residents that show up at the office and get them may have one. It will have 10 hole punches on there. One hole punch gets them 4 hours, just like our rate says. If they want to use it and do 2, that's 2 hole punches at the end of it. So essentially, a village tax-paying resident would get 5 8-hour days. They would then, at the end of it, turn in their card to the dock hand or whoever's there. And now once they've used it and it's done. What we need to clarify is that it's first come, first serve. It does not guarantee that they get a dock because we're not holding docks. If they show up and there's nothing available, then there's nothing available. It's literally first come, first serve. Same thing with the passes, first come, first serve. We want the office to keep track of who did we give it to. They would have to get it again next year. Just because they got it this year doesn't guarantee that they're gonna get it next year. But if we think this is gonna be too much to manage, then we can just scrap the whole idea. I'm open to ideas and suggestions. Alex mentioned letting anyone with an ID with a Sackett's address potentially. I just potentially can see that being a problem. Too many people, too many boats. The girls really wanted it to be a smaller number to manage, to see. Again, I don't know. Do we have 10 voters that would maybe use a day pass, or do we have 200? I have no
I think we have 20 people that will want one, whether they use it or not. There's gonna be people that are Johnny on the spot that come and grab the pass. And then the 21st person is gonna be annoyed that they came and didn't.
But again, it's first come, first serve, just like the docks. The
Yeah,
docks are
no, I
first come,
get it,
first.
but it's a lock-in. I think having the docks just be first come, first serve is sufficient enough. If you get up early in the morning, go fishing, you wanna come park your dock and you live in the village and you wanna run in and grab breakfast before you drive back around to put your boat out at Bolton's, cool. I don't think we need to charge that. And the easiest way to manage that is say, hey, flash a Sackett's license and you're good for a fee
But we
waiver.
can't control how long they're at the dock if they're just,
We can with the same way we do anything else. If we're tracking it, we say your fee waiver is only for, we can even say it's only 2 hours if it's free. You wanna pay, you gotta pay, you want 4, you pay for the whole thing, but I feel like having a set number is gonna still be confusing and.
all right, well, if we're not doing it with a set number, then my recommendation is to not do it at all. I don't wanna make it complicated. We've got kids working down there. I don't want somebody being upset with the kid working down there. He's like, I'm going to breakfast and he's gone 5 hours. I don't want to make it a bigger deal than it has to be. So if it's gonna be more confusing, we can just not
Let's
do
just,
it.
I think what you have up top, David, let's roll that out
Start with
first.
that and just.
And see
keep-
what happens, yeah,
Okay.
and then maybe next year we wanna, upgrade, we can do that, but let's keep it simple this year. Let's
Which I'm
monitor
fine
it,
with.
yeah, and then.
How
then we'll
many,
take it from there.
how many slips are we reserving for village residents?
None.
We're not doing any now.
No,
But we were-
no, I thought we were setting
We
aside.
talked about doing that, but then in the conversation with that I had with the girls, they were like, why can't they just, like, we don't want to hold them and not use them.
Yeah.
Right,
If they're first come, first serve, they're literally first.
so if we
So
get,
we have 15 docks.
Yep.
One is being used by the fire
Right.
department, so we technically have 16, but that way, if there's 15, first come, first serve, I mean, a village resident could use it.
Right, spoke about that software that.
Yeah, that's a later, but I think if we're gonna do that, I'd say let's do July first, and that way we get some data in June towards the end of whether or not it's chaotic without this, because that way we get a little bit of the best of both.
Okay, so
'Cause we can
start
see,
July
like,
1.
If we start seeing, oh man, it'll give us good data, like if all of a sudden July third, it's a lot simpler than it has been.
Well, we have no data to back.
Right, but
like,
I think
have
in
nothing
June
for
we'll
right
get
now,
some
Right,
info. Right now, it's not busy enough to be an issue. We've had usage, but I don't think we've ever had more than 3 boats there that I've seen.
3 boats and
Right.
2 cars. Let's be accurate with that
It's a
number.
bad rate. We need a better ratio.
the only other, there was a question I was gonna ask.
I think it's good, that's a good, meet in the middle.
Oh, the other question I asked or that I had, Can-Am charging people at the docks. Do
I
we
mean,
wanna
I-
not do it that weekend because it's gonna be horrendous?
I,
Do you see, like, I'm thinking all of the people there, I might say for Saturday and Sunday to have the dock hand down there greeting people, but not, I don't know.
I mean, we
Do
can
you think it'll
always
be
just
too
not,
crazy?
right? If there's no one there, the assumption's gonna be, I don't know that we're
I
gonna
think
have
there
it
will be
staffed at
people
8
there,
AM
I
on a
just-
Tuesday. So I think the default is if there's a dock hand there, you're gonna have to pay. And if it's not, no one's gonna wait around and try to
Right.
find somebody to pay. They're just gonna park their boat and.
I need someone to take my money.
Yeah, please take it.
I guess
So-
the question was, Can-Am, there will be somebody down there. So my question was, because
Yeah.
Can-Am is gonna be busy and we're gonna have more people, do we want to just forego it because we're welcoming visitors to the village? Or do you still want to charge people?
I mean, I'm happy to charge as infrequently as possible. I think,
I know that's where I'm just trying to think of,
yeah.
I don't want to make it more. of a
But I think this
crazy,
is fine. I
complicated
think
weekend
we can decide that
At the June
at the
meeting.
July meeting, once we've had a couple weeks of how hard is it? Is it a pain? Are these guys frustrated? Are we frustrating people? Once we've been doing it July 4th weekend, we'll find out if
Right, that's true.
the
That'd be
juice
a
is worth
good
the squeeze
benchmark,
pretty
yeah.
quick, because we'll have
Okay.
a decent amount of traffic towards the end of June after school's out,
July
where
4th
we
would
kind of
be
let
the
people
end
do
of
their
the
own
year, probably,
thing,
you're right.
and then we'll have 10 days. Well, no, actually, it's a full 2 weeks, because the Can-Am's late this year. And then
When
by
is
then,
Can-Am? 20.
it's the 17th,
20th.
20th, yeah,
Okay,
it's
that's
later than usual.
So we'll start at July 1. I'll take out the day pass usage, the optional part, and we'll just put the day use rates out. And I'm fine with that.
People will probably come, don't worry about it, go back, because we'll say, well, this is our first year. It may be something we introduce next year, right? We're
Okay.
just trying to gather some data right now.
Yep.
I think that's
Okay.
fair.
All right, I'll fix that and send that back out to you, Erica, to get on the website.
Great work, by the way,
Thank
on the
you.
doc plan, guys. Appreciate it.
So hold on, one quick question. Is it $10 and then 10 additional dollars for power? Or is it $10 for docking, and then when you're paying, you can hook up to power if you feel like it?
I think it's additional.
I
Some
mean,
boats
I
don't
can't,
have power,
I don't think many will bother for day use unless they're
probably not.
having an issue where their battery's not charging or something.
Right.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's all I had. The other part was the Parks and Recs, which we already talked about, so we're good.
Cool. Any other questions for Kelly, guys? You wanted to call back, you said you wanted to talk about something.
Oh, I was
I didn't
thinking,
hear what you
I was thinking dog park. I know, Christy, I believe is her name,
Christina, yeah.
Christina is leaving. She actually was spearheading the dog park project with the rec committee and her and Paul. She is leaving the area. I know several people on this board, to include you, Alex, actually have stepped in to kind of pick that back up. So we're getting closer. I think we'll actually, do you have,
I let the, yeah, I let, geez, is it Northern Fence? Yeah, I let him know.
Okay.
So he hasn't, I think what he's gonna do is likely, look for something signed
Yeah.
before he starts buying equipment. or
Is there
buying
new
materials.
fencing going on down there? Somebody posted something online about they love
Somebody,
the new fencing
I
by the
think Lynn,
bocce.
I think Lynn might have like corrected some fencing. The fencing that kept like the swamp from the
Okay.
gardens, I think which keeps the deer and stuff out of
Oh,
there,
okay.
was pretty rough looking and had like
So
barbed
they did
wire.
some
They might have
repairing.
just cleaned it up a
Okay.
bit.
I just saw something and I was like, oh, did they
Yeah.
start the dog park fencing already?
My
was
guess
what I
was,
thought
my
it
guess was it's Lynn just
Okay.
cleaning up some crappy looking fencing, but
So good
I'm
work,
not sure.
good work to those, the team that had it. And then the team that actually inherited it and running with it soon. Soon,
So
we'll have
we
it.
didn't get anywhere with either of the fence companies wanting naming rights. So I think we should auction off the name of the park. Obviously, we, have approval if it's something weird, but what was the,
Maybe we could do a village, name the dog park contest.
And tell us if you have water in your basement while you're at it.
Just saying, maybe we could name it something cool. Let the village residents.
well, that's why I thought like you gotta, the highest bid that the board approves, like it's not gonna be, we hate this place dog park. Although I had an idea for a way to get everyone really involved, and it was to get the Cape Vincent Chamber of Commerce to bid and call it Cape Vincent is Better Dog Park. And then everyone from Sackets has to outbid them and we get a little hype. So that could be a fun little.
Yeah.
But anyway, if we don't want to auction it, we do have to come up with a name for it.
We do.
So noodle on what you guys want to do, or find a company that you think would pay us some money to put their
Can
name
we
on it.
hold off doing it and have the kids at school do it? Maybe it could be a
Oh, there you go.
kid competition.
There you go.
They can come up with like a little graphic and let them.
Just-
Let's do that. Let's shoot for the fall naming it and have the school, like this, the village wants to name the dog park. Can you help us? I think that would be cute.
TV dog park.
Just be
Yes.
careful. My daughter, who's 4 years old, named her a cat. Yeah, Fluffy
Well,
running
again,
around
we
the
still
house.
get
so.
final pay, but they could submit entries. I
Well, you
think that would be
Snoopy's
cool.
Playland.
Did you see, I think it was in like Detroit, they had like a new ferry that they were naming. And they put it online and by 90%, Bodie McBoatface won. And they were like, we're not doing that. And there was this whole thing, everyone was upset. Yeah. So
All right. let's
anyways,
get back
all
on
right,
track.
all good there.
So this summer, we should have a dog park.
Yes, hope so.
Greg, you're,
I don't have anything. I had hoped to have an update on, Lakeview Estates, but, other than the asphalt repair, which these guys already talked about. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Any questions for Greg, guys? All right, Sarah?
Hi there.
Okay. All right, we have the Dank report here. This is what we were talking about. It has the 10 million gallons metered and 15 million of wastewater. So is there like a pressure test on a line to see if it's a leak? I feel like it's probably not a
On
leak.
sewer?
Yeah,
Yep, that's what they do with new sewer. They
sure.
all pressurize it. make sure.
Yeah, that's, I mean, again, there's nothing, we're not having any trouble meeting our numbers because of this, but the idea is, as if we add housing, if we have a particularly wet, if you look back, so that was April, if you look back at the March report, we had 1 million gallons fewer treated in sewer because it was a dry March.
Is that total water produced that goes to Hounsfield?
Let me double check that they're not. I don't think they're backing out Hounsfield because it says a total of 9.9 million gallons of water were metered in the month of April with an average daily flow. I think that's including Hounsfield.
Right, it's probably the water plant. This, if you're gonna compare to the wastewater, obviously.
It should be lower by a fair
yeah,
amount.
A third of that water produced is going to
Yeah.
Hounsfield, doesn't come.
And you're
back.
thinking like, especially in the summer when you've got people watering their lawns, you got people filling pools, a lot of the water's going to Hounsfield or seasonal camps that don't have sewer and aren't open in the winter. So it is pretty significant, the difference, because we might be, I don't know, what, do you guys know ballpark, what a month of Hounsfield? You might know from billing, what do they run in a month? Oh, you know what? It's 3,000 gallons an hour, because I see it in that monthly report.
I think they're like 100,000 gallons a day average. I think an average plant's putting out 250.
Yeah.
Hounsfield's a little less than half, just.
Yes, I think they're about half of our water
Right.
is going to places that do not have sewer. So we're actually, when you look at that, we're pulling back in, like in April, 4x. The water that we
Just for the
sent
village,
to
right?
houses that have sewer at all.
Hillsfield's two districts, get billed about 33% of our total water registered at the
Okay,
plant.
okay, so a little less than half, all right,
About 30 to 33.
okay. But again, there's streets that just don't have sewer, it's not just seasonal, like all of Adams Road out past the school doesn't have sewer at all.
Right,
So all the water that goes out that way should not be coming back.
right.
Okay, all right, yeah, so it's pretty significant.
It
when-
is, yeah.
When we, and it's, the trouble is both basement pumping and groundwater infiltration would spike at the same time, so we don't have a way, just looking at the month by month data to know which is happening. All right, on to the fun part. Erica, did you figure out if I need to read the entirety of this? I do, all right, I'll read fast, don't judge my
Reading capability.
mistakes here. Okay. So guys, we have 4 laws to pass. 2 are negative declarations for seeker to vote on, and 2 are local laws. So the first one here, yes,
Two laws, two resolutions.
Two laws passed for the seeker or any resolution.
all right, so we're gonna start with public hearing for the water management law number 5. Resolution number 5 for local law number 2. I will open the public hearing. If anyone has questions or comments on local law number 2. You're on Zoom. We can't hear you. You're muted. All right, hearing nothing, I will close the public hearing. And we will go into next step here. We have seeker. We went through this. There is no significant impacts. If you want to take a look through, you can see the specifics, but essentially we're voting on a negative declaration of local law number 2 having any negative impacts on all the different categories in seeker, the environmental review. That is a roll call vote. So
Yep.
once you guys are happy,
You have to go through parts 2 and 3 though.
so you're
Law 2. resolution
law
4.
2, and then flick back until you get to the boxed out section. That's the seeker form.
Or back, right?
We're gonna be on page 11, page
2 of 13, 17.
all the way past 13 to the second page. So my understanding is you just had to go through each of these. They're all negative, but I'll walk through them. 1 is there's no negative impact on the land. Section 2 is geological features. 3 is surface water. 4 is groundwater. 5 is impact on flooding. 6 is air. 7 is plants and animals. We have 8 is agricultural resources. 9 is aesthetic resources. 10 is the historic and archaeological resources. 11 is open space and recreation. 12 is critical environmental areas. 13 is transportation. 14 is energy. 15 is noise, odor, and light. 16 is human health. 17 is consistency with community plans. That's worded a little differently, but is there inconsistency would be a yes, so no. Community character. Same. That is section 18. Take a page here. So all of those are no, and then we have for section 3, it's a type 1 significance, which basically means we don't have to do a further analysis. What am I missing here? Okay, so that's all set, and we need a motion to declare this a negative declaration of seeker.
Make a motion, or it's a negative secret.
I just read it. I second that motion.
Okay, all in favor? Oh, well, sorry, I think this is a roll call as well. But this, the roll call is on the seeker still. And then I have to go through,
Oh, this is seeker, part 1, part 2, and part 3.
Yeah, that's all.
Resolution number 4 is for seeker.
Yes.
So all that is included.
oh, I'm sorry, yeah,
Okay.
you're right. The resolution number 4, no longer refer.
Gotcha. Is this the one he has to read?
He reads the law, but he's gonna read the resolution.
Okay.
We gotta vote on the resolution now, right?
Yeah, so the resolution is the negative declaration for seeker, long
Right.
form for adoption of the waterfront management law. I do not need to read this one, so I will spare you, but I'm being told I do need to read the actual resolution adopting the law, so. But not the law itself, because that's 20 pages, so.
Good.
You lucked out. All right. So this is a roll call for resolution number 4.
I'm sorry, Alex Morgan,
Yes,
Mildred,
Yes.
Silva,
Yes.
Rick Thompson,
Yes.
Rivera.
Yes.
Oh, and who operates?
Kelly, and the second was
Me.
All right.
Now we had the resolution number.
Yeah, well, I did the public hearing ahead, so we have 2 different orders of operation here. On the management law sheet, it says to do public hearing after. On the minutes, it says to do it before, so we've already done it. I'm gonna skip right ahead and read through this. All right, Village of Second Harbor Resolution number 5 of 2024, enact local law number 2 of 2024 to adopt local waterfront management law. Whereas the village board for the Village of Second Harbor, New York is interested in enacting a local law entitled Waterfront Management Law, and whereas the village board has reviewed the proposed legislation that will protect and preserve the natural and historic resources of the village's harbor, waters, and shores to promote and preserve the public's access to the harbor, Black River Bay, and Lake Ontario for recreational and commercial uses, to protect the waters abutting the village and their unique and sensitive environmental and aesthetic qualities, and to promote and protect the public's safety, health, and comfort and general welfare. And whereas pursuant to the New York Environmental Quality Review Act, this board, as the only involved agency, has reviewed part 1, 2, and 3 of a long-form environmental assessment form, and has made a determination that the adoption of the local law in the Village of Sackets Harbor, New York is de minimis, will result in no significant adverse impacts upon the environment, and has adopted a negative declaration in connection therewith. Now therefore be it resolved by the village board of the Village of Sackets Harbor, New York, as follows. 1, foregoing recitation is incorporated herein and made a part hereof as if set forth hereafter. 2, the village board hereby enacts a local law entitled Waterfront Management Law as being in the best interest of the Village of Sackets Harbor. 3, the mayor for the Village of Sackets Harbor and the village clerk for the Village of Sackets Harbor, their respective agents and employees are authorized to sign all documents and take all steps necessary to enact this legislation. 4, this legislation shall be filed with the New York State Department of State and with the village clerk of the Village of Sackets Harbor. 5, this resolution shall take effect immediately. Foregoing resolution was offered by board member. Anybody?
I'll make a motion to accept resolution number.
Councilman Silva, and seconded by board member Greg Townsend, and upon roll call vote, the board was duly adopted as follows.
Mayor Moria,
Yes.
Well, that's,
trustee Mildred,
Yes.
trustee Silva,
yes.
trustee Thompson,
Yes.
trustee Rivera.
Yes.
All right.
I'll
So we'll
change
just
that to
rewind
9
it.
then. The law says that they have to be out of the docks by 9, but I thought we changed it to 10 to give people time to eat and get out. I can go back and change the policy to make it better. That's fine.
Yeah, make your thing.
I'll
We
make
can
mine
also
match
be
that.
lenient with it if it's.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I just heat.
Gotcha.
I just want to make sure I make it. So,
We're just consistent.
Cool. All right, now we're gonna do it all one more time. So now we have, let me get this right here. Hold on. Number two, it's down over here. Let's give me one quick second. All right, cool. Now we're moving on to local law number 3, which is the negative declaration. It looks like, yeah, I do need to do another public hearing, so this, I'll open a public hearing on the waterfront consistency review law. Anybody has any questions or comments on that? Seconds, hearing none, I will close the public hearing. And we'll get right to the seeker on this. So this is negative declaration will be resolution number, sorry, local law number 3. And flick over to this. Record myself saying no to all these, but we'll go through them again if that is the rules. So again, on the part 2, we have impact on land is a no, impact on surface water is a no. Groundwater is no, flooding is no, impact on air, no, plants and animals, no. Agricultural resources, no, aesthetic resources, no, historic and archaeological resources, no. Impact on open space and recreation, no, critical environmental areas, no, transportation, no, energy, no. Noise, odor, and light, no. Impact on health, no. Human health. And then consistency with community plans is consistent, so that's a no on inconsistency, and the same with community character. And then the magnitude and importance of the project on section 3 is type 1 again. So. Here we are. So I need to read resolution number 6.
Real quick, do you want us to vote on seeker?
We have to vote.
That is the seeker resolution.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah. So hold on one sec, because I don't see that.
It's right here in the back.
It's on the back.
Oh, yeah. It's on the back of.
It's stapled right into that packet you just had.
Thank you, guys. Last one was not stapled.
Yeah, it's in that one. Where'd your stickers go? You want one of ours too?
I got you.
Back this one. What was resolution 3? There you go.
There.
I found it. Okay. I didn't realize the blue sticker. All right. Thank you, guys. All right. So Village of Sackets Harbor Resolution number 6 of 2024, negative declaration for seeker long form for adoption of waterfront consistency review law. This one, I don't think, what's up? Yeah, this one I don't need to go through the full text. So this is a roll call vote on the negative declaration.
Do we need a motion to accept this?
We do.
I'll make a motion to accept resolution number 6.
Mayor Moria.
Yes.
Yes.
Sola,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. The resolution 7. I just made a mess looking for the 6.
Yes.
You already do 7?
No, 6 is the seeker vote, and then I have to read the whole law for 7. 7. Oh, it's right in the back there. Okay, sorry. It's front and back is throwing me off. All right, I'm gonna read you a story again, guys. So Village of Sackets Harbor, resolution number 7 of 2024. To enact local law number 3 of 2024, adopt waterfront consistency review law. Whereas the village board for the Village of Sackets Harbor, New York is interested in enacting a local law entitled Waterfront Consistency Review Law. And whereas the village board has reviewed the proposed legislation that will protect and preserve the natural and historic resources of the village's harbor, waters, and shores to promote and preserve the public's access to the harbor, Black River Bay, and Lake Ontario for recreational and commercial uses. to protect the waters abutting the village and their unique and sensitive environmental and aesthetic qualities, and to promote and protect the public safety, health, and comfort and general welfare. And whereas pursuant to the New York Environmental Quality Review Act, this board, as the only involved agency, has reviewed part 1, 2, and 3 of the long-form environmental assessment form, has made a determination that the adoption of the local law in the village of Sackets Harbor, New York is de minimis, will result in no significant adverse impacts upon the environment and has adopted a negative declaration in connection therewith. Now therefore be it resolved by the village board of the village of Sackets Harbor, New York, as follows. 1, the foregoing recitation is incorporated herein and made a part hereof as if set forth hereafter. 2, the village board hereby enacts a local law entitled Waterfront Consistency Review Law as being in the best interest of the village of Sackets Harbor. 3, the mayor of the village of Sackets Harbor and the village clerk for the village of Sackets Harbor, their respective agents and employees are authorized to sign all documents and take all steps necessary to enact this legislation. 4, the legislation shall be filed with New York State Department of State and with the village clerk of the village of Sackets Harbor. 5, this resolution shall take effect immediately. The foregoing resolution was offered by board member
I'll make a motion to.
Silva and seconded by board member
I'll make a second.
Ron Mildren, and upon roll call vote of the board was duly adopted as follows.
Morgan.
Yes.
Yes.
Silva.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right,
Thank you very much.
Did it.
thanks. Hard enough to read. I'm not sure how you wrote all that.
Couple typos. Anyone point them out?
Thank you. All right, next up, guys, we have a BOCES agreement. This is just an agreement that I need to sign. I don't think we need a vote on it necessarily, but that's related to the drug testing for the GPW. BOCES is requiring we sign this agreement, basically enumerating the costs. So unless anyone has an objection, I'm planning to sign that. But
Motion and vote. Do we not need a?
she put it on a lot of these, that just as a note, but yeah, if you'd like one, that's fine.
Okay.
What's the
The
motion?
motion is to allow me to sign the contract with BOCES for drug testing for the village Sackets Harbor employment purposes.
I second that.
Oh, well, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, getting ahead of myself. All right, BOCES agreement is done. Next up is the Halloweenville application. I don't, did you work with them on this? No, okay. I don't think they've changed much, guys. They are looking to close West Main from the bank. I forget if they did that last year or not, or if they closed at Ambrose. They did? Okay, thanks, guys. Over 26. Yeah. Just looking at the date real quick. But Saturday, we technically can't close the street before then for access to the post office, but we can put barriers up and just move them when, if people say they need it, so we can kind of prep. We just do have to let traffic get to and from the post office until 12. And then the post office truck will come through, but they're always cooperative.
What time are they asking to close the road? down?
12 to 4.
Oh, okay.
So we'll get it set up ahead of time, but we have to let people in and out until right at 12. But we can make sure that when they have, military trucks and other vehicles parked, that they are over to the side so the mail truck can get in and out. They're not dead center of the road.
I'll make a motion to approve the Halloweenville event.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next up, Dave is here for this one. If you have any questions, this is the application for the concert on the waterfront.
I do have a question about the road closure. What's that event? I can't find it in the packet. You're closing, on this particular application, it says closing the road on July 28th.
Yeah, there's one concert we have to have in the bandstand because of an event on the battlefield. That's the Grand Tactical.
Grand Tactical.
Oh,
So, probably 5 years ago, and then maybe for years before that, we used to do this every year because every year, usually it used to be the first Sunday in August, the battlefield had an event So we always had one concert at the bandstand.
Okay,
And this is just Bay or DeRay, it's just where the bollards are.
Fair to
So
raise.
there's no,
okay.
the both boat launches are still
I just was
open.
thinking because they're back to back from Can-Am. Can-Am is the weekend before. I was just thinking about.
It'll just be from 2 to 6, the
Yeah.
3 to 5, so already.
Yeah, and it's just between the boat launches, so people can still get all the way down to each boat launch and then drive around, get to the other ones.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be.
Everything else.
Who's playing that week?
Brian Brundage and the Shigley with.
Oh, nice.
Whoa,
This jazz.
Yeah, I think they played before, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
little Piggly Wigglies, huh?
Everything else.
Cool.
Right, I'll make a motion to approve the Council on the Waterfront event.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All
And the
right.
flag retirement ceremony is the same thing that they did last year.
Yep.
The LDC, they cleaned it up, they put it all together.
Cool.
So I'll make a motion to approve that as well.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so couple quick things before we do public comment, guys. We are gonna go into an executive session for a personnel discussion regarding the clerk's office, and that will be after public comments. Technically, the meeting cannot be adjourned until after the executive session. We will not take any action after. We will just exit the executive session and then vote to adjourn the meeting. If anyone wants to stay, you can. You have to kind of go out and we'll shut the doors. Just let us know because we have to try harder to not be overheard if you're standing in the foyer than if you're not. But we will do the public comment and then we'll enter into exec and you guys can all head out if you want, or you can stay behind to see the exciting vote where Ron says he wants to keep working. All right, anything else, guys, before we jump into public comment? All right, and a couple quick notes on public comment, guys. It is meant to be for new business. I have a suspicion, I know what you're bringing up. We'll give you one a year. The rule basically is you can't come say the same thing every meeting, because at that point, it either should have a line item in the agenda or not. But we'll set it for the 3-minute timer and we'll go from there. I'm gonna start with Zoom just because it's harder for people on there to chime in. Is there anyone on who might want public comment? All right, and anybody in the room? Let me know when you're good to go.
Yes, I'm good to go.
All right, Jay, we'll let you start.
Yeah, I know, you're saying it's the same thing, but yeah, just glad to be back in beautiful Sackets Harbor. I just wanted to let you know, I reached out to Jim Corbin, obviously, about the landscape law on the Stone Hospital. He reached back to me and said it's being taken care of. I appreciate that. And that one of the last line that he had in his email is that Dave said that it's gonna be sold soon. And I just was wondering, is there, you know, as the LDC members, is there any more information on, is it gonna be transferred anytime soon?
No, I don't have any additional info.
Yeah, okay, yeah, just, you know, Dave, you have a comment, or you know it's gonna happen, right? Hoping, yeah,
I expect it will be happening
soon. Yeah, well, summer,
soon means,
yeah, well, I appreciate that, I just,
soon enough.
yeah, well, yeah, I mean, it's you know, it's been 5 years and, you know, I came back and it's, you know, the deterioration is still, it's happening and hopefully it'll get transferred before it's unable to be restored. You know, that's my worry, is that it's gonna be impossible to restore it. It's gonna have to be, you know, taken down. So, thank you.
Thanks, Jay.
Thanks, Jay. Welcome back.
All right, anybody else? Yeah,
Sorry. For the flag retirement ceremony, I'm just asking because you're gonna go into executive session, I didn't want to stay. What details? That's things.
Oh, yeah. Hang on. It's June 14th. It's Flag Day. They're retiring
6:30?
flags at the LDC property on Ambrose starting at 6:30.
Anybody can bring flags to.
That is my understanding,
They have
yes.
a box outside
They
right now, too, a drop box.
Mhm. It's right on your stairs, so if you have flags that you're trying to retire, you can place them in there, and then they're gonna dispose of them at that event.
Fold them up first, don't just jam them in there.
All right, last chance, everybody. All right. I'll close public comment and we need a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Want to say flags?